And if we can think about it as our heart having infinite awareness, infinite love, infinite possibilities, infinite truth, infinite existence of possibilities, then life is a beautiful place. We can imagine anything. This is just one perception of reality. This is just a sense of imagination. Why are we stuck here? Well, look at your mind, for example. It's coded. The mind is coded to prevail this reality for what it is. And there's been a mass mind manipulation on the human, on the human species. And if we can't wake up to that, well then, don't expect to wake up. There's been a mass human, you could say, we're influenced to perceive this reality for what it is. And you see the crazies in life, which we call them crazies, but they're just potentially perceiving reality for what it really is. And we call them crazy, but they're naturally thinking outside of the box. And although they become very abnormal to society because they're saying a lot of truth, we perceive them as crazy, but they've just been able to understand what society and what life is truly doing to our perception or our way of thinking. And what we can harness from this is that if we can balance our sense of concentration with our true identity from our hearts, we can actually start to understand that balance is the key for our species or our sense of imagination. Because although we might be living in this world, and we might be perceiving this reality for what it is, we may as well start to generate some truth and start to generate some love without becoming, if we want to become full crazy, let's go for it. These people who are truly crazy generally don't give a fuck what people think, because they think people are all crazy, because they're just thinking in a box, and this box is not letting them out. But when we can start to understand that, okay, let's focus on, doing what we want in this world, being successful, showing our families we can survive, whatever, it doesn't matter. But having the mental state of mind to stay focused, stay with a good attitude, stay, in this reality, but also starting to formulate a balance from the heart. So we're not just being persuaded in life from our minds, following the mind, listening to the mind, because the mind, for God's sake, would like to constantly be keeping us in a state of suffering. And those who are only generating love and generating change and happiness and power and dignity and loyalty and trust and respect and, are the ones who are, generating enough energy from the heart to actually shut the mind up and say, because we all have it, we all have that internal war between the heart and the mind, to shut that mind up and say, shut up mind, what are you trying to do to me? You're trying to kill me? Because the mind doesn't want to kill you, because the mind has enough, the mind doesn't want to kill you. It just wants to keep you always in a state of neglect and a state of, judgment and a state of suffering. Because if the mind can always keep us in a state of suffering, neglect and judgment, it will always just be like stabbing the heart. The mind doesn't want to kill you because it wants to keep the heart alive. And if our heart's alive and suffering, it's generating that frequency or that aura that is true to ourselves, and we're going against it. And that frequency, that awareness of going against our true originality, it's just like something with a higher sense of consciousness is just laughing at us, saying, you ignorant human. Like, not necessarily, but